Hello, and welcome back to Iron Butterfly Podcast. My name is Megan Jaffer.
And I'm Katie Hopkins, and we'll be your hosts.
We created Iron Butterfly Podcast in honor of Eloise Page, the original Iron Butterfly. And on this very special season, we are going inside our first documentary feature film titled The Power We Hold: Stories from Women Spies. This film features 10 of the most powerful women you've never heard of, and this season, we'll get up close and personal with each of them. We hope you find their stories as powerful as we do.
So talk to us about remote viewing or remote sensing a little bit. Like, what does that really mean?
So, I mean, at that time, if you think about it, and it's so hard now, like for all the digital natives probably to grasp, but there's a heavy amount of like optics, and I mean, even now there is, right? But there's a lot more you have to do thinking about like the physical system as well as the digital system. But remote sensing was and is like really like how you think about airborne and satellite-based overhead imaging, right? In those days, it wasn't the day of like everybody launching a satellite, right? So it was way more complicated. But we kind of had to know enough about how do you think about telescopes, how do you think about like some of the optics design, how do you think about how light works, and how do you think about encoding that information into a digital form so you can use it and grab it on a chip, and then what do you do with it, right? So that whole entire chain of how do you like take light and other like electromagnetic spectrum information and translate it to something that you can then see and say, like, this is what the world looks like, and then figure out how real is it. So there's a lot in remote sensing that's about, math and radiometry. You're saying, okay, really what is happening related to the waves of information interacting with other particles in the air, getting the information from the ground and reflecting it in a way that you can interpret. And probably if you ask my kids, they take for granted like what comes on their cameras from their phones, right? And all this stuff though is all like things that are possible from the advancements of things that like CCDs that were built for satellite industry components that are now like commonplace cheap technology on your phone, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really all those things, but now it's really about then how do we make more advanced interpretations of the data, as opposed to like, I think now it's almost too commonplace to be like, well, it's really easy to like throw this stuff together to acquire the data. Now you got to figure out like, what does it actually mean, and how do I make it more valuable?
So tell us about a few, I know we're kind of at like still the early part of your career, but maybe to kind of help us move through the rest, like, obviously, Megan mentioned you've done some sensitive things in your career, but from what you can tell us, like, tell us about a couple just like really memorable days, like where you just were like, wow, that was an incredible day. Like when I accepted that offer letter at NEMA, when I had no idea what I was going to be doing and they couldn't tell me what I was going to be doing, like, this is what I hoped that it would be.
I mean, I really enjoyed most all of my time. I feel like it's just a matter of like how you think about it. So I was lucky enough to do a rotation program. And so I was out in Las Cruces, New Mexico for about 4 or 5 months. And it was fabulous. And I think like part of it was like we were going there for a temporary assignment. So like it's not like you're sitting there thinking, okay, this is it.
I have to build a life in Las Cruces.
Yeah. There was a little, I don't think I saw many Indian people at all in Las Cruces, New Mexico, oddly enough. But because I was there temporarily, I was like, I want to just do all the things, right? Which means that you are 3 hours from like anywhere. I'm like, we were driving around. I made people drive with me. We went spelunking. We went to the Gila Mountains. We would cross the bridge all the time and go to Juarez, just check it out. You could do that back then. We had a blast, right? And work-wise, it was cool because compared to being here in the DC area, and this was still earlier in my career, you can do things and be like, okay, what if I do this thing with this other piece, right? And I have to like respond to something. Like we would just do stuff and then see like, okay, what did that give me? Like, how did that come about? In those days, some of the things we do today that are commonplace, this was still early days of trying to figure out how it all came through. So, some of the folks that were on site with us, it was like the early days of all of us experimenting and kind of also seeing how the military and civilian folks kind of pushed on like things that were like uniquely interesting and valuable. And like, had they not done that, I mean, the things we take for granted today around simple things like change detection, like those things are like easy peasy things nowadays, but it was game changing back then, right? And it was like really fun to be involved with that kind of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to just be also, when you're not so close to all the politics here, it's a lot of fun to be like, hey, you can just do stuff and see and say build a little algorithm to do a thing and see if it works.
Mm-hmm.
Right now the people out there, I'll say, are awesome and crazy, and they are all very chill with like the way, like, so you don't get as much of the people politicking. It's smaller environments in some of these places compared to over here, but as a result, like everyone's just like, they kind of treat each other like family because it's like a smaller facility. Everybody ends up like knowing each other.
It sounds like because they don't have these guardrails kind of that you have here, they're kind of like, here, go play.
Or the leadership is cool with saying like, I'll figure out how to deal with the guardrails when you come up and bump up against it, right?
Yeah.
Versus here, it's a little more impactful, so it's harder for people to
take risks,
put their head on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if you could, because I don't think we've ever done this, and for the folks who are not from this community listening, there are, when you look at someone's resume, you can't always take it for what it is because sometimes you can't even say where you've worked.
Yeah.
But in your case, give us a quick list of
all the alphabet soup
of the alphabet soup of places you've supported.
Yeah. So I'll start. The easy path is through like the contractor names and logos and stuff initially, right? So my early days, I was working, like I said, like I was supposed to be government, but ended up being Lockheed. Started at Lockheed, went to Raytheon, went over to Incutel. From there, went to Excelis Geospatial, went to Blackbird, got acquired by Raytheon, went to SAIC, went to Reinventing Geospatial, co-founded Rohirrim, and then now I have my own consulting firm. And I also support several other people along the way now. But across then, if I say that is like a baseline related to like, I guess the paycheck, then the other vector is, worked, so NEMA turns into like NGA. So NGA, NRO, CIA, DIA, supported NSA in the past, supported Air Force in the past, supported Army, supported Navy, supported SOCOM.
We should have asked her to do the ones that she hasn't.
I know, for real. There's like two. Two that you haven't.
And then like all these other like splinter organizations, right? There are funny financial institutions that I did stuff with. And there are, interesting like nonprofit things that I have done stuff with, right? And like I said, I'm always a sucker for like saying yes first and then just being like, well, can I not?
Yeah.
So what is, if you were, I know we kind of asked this because we had to put a title for you, in the documentary where there's like, she was or she is. So I wonder, like, when someone, let's say you're on a panel and you're at a panel with non-IC people and they're like, explain to us in like 5 words or less, like what you do or who you are as it not as a person, but as in your career.
Yeah.
What does Chitra do?
Yeah, and how do and I'm finding myself like trying to like go through that process more and more these days.
Yeah.
And I feel like part of me wants to go back to like a kid, like my dad's like, oh, I just like make the coffee in the morning. It's like, come on. But in reality, it's like, oh yeah, what I'm doing and what I've always done and probably what I will continue to do is I like to find interesting people that have a different perspective on, I mean, it sounds weird to say just hard problems but there are. So people who know how to articulate some funny problem, or they're trying to build something, and trying to figure out how do I like take a thing that might have legs, might have the ability to do something, whether it's small or big, and apply it, right? And I think that might be like why I ultimately was like, yeah, this imaging science program was probably the right thing for me, and I really loved it, was because it's really like an applied engineering thing. And if I think about all the things I've been doing, it's really like applying new techniques or new algorithms or new thought processes or new business models, right? Trying to figure out how do you think about this this applied kind of science thought process to whatever we're doing. And as a result, in order to do that, like I'm a believer of like you can't do that usually on your own. You got to do it as a team. So then I like to like figure out what's the kind of the dream team that you put together to do a thing, right? Which means that it's a collection of people or a collection of companies or a collection of technologies that come together to be inserted into something, right? To say like, does it work? Does it not work? Well, I think we were talking about this earlier. Like sometimes you just have to do it to figure it out. And so like that's my predisposition of like, well, let's do it. If it seems like it's logical enough to try, then let's try. And maybe it does it, maybe it doesn't do it. So what I would say that my thing is that I would say I do, if somebody was to say, what do you do on a regular basis? That's what I do. Like think about like, hey, what new thing you can do to improve and how would you go about doing it and what people and things do you pull together to do that thing, right? And it's like, I think it's that right now we've got that continuous improvement, CI/CD kind of thought process kind of in everyone's veins in GovCon. So it's more along those lines of like, okay, if we really do believe in this notion of continuous improvement, then it's just like, okay, I'm just experimenting all the time. Everything I'm doing is
an experiment.
Grand experiment. Be like, well, maybe this person will work out. Maybe they won't. I guess we'll know soon.
I think what's like really like hitting me in the forehead from your story is just how non-traditional your path has been and how much of like a risk taker you have been. Like when we asked you your favorite moments, you basically said like the jobs where I failed all the time. Like I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what you said.
I was allowed to fail.
I was allowed to fail. Yes,
yeah.
but you found that process to be fun, right?
Yeah.
And enjoyable. And I'm wondering, like, we talk to people, specifically women all the time, who feel like they have to do things a certain way, or they have to, like, success looks a certain way, or like, and like failure is clearly not part of that equation, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, where you get that like sense of power from that allows you to take those risks and to do things so differently.
I don't really know. I think it's just like so far I've been doing it and nothing's bad's happened, like terribly. Right? Like,
the house hasn't burned down.
Yeah.
The country hasn't,
like,
we're
we're still able to pay the bills. Like we're all like generally like healthy. Like, the world hasn't like completely like I haven't gotten hit by lightning. I mean, it seems like on a basic level, it's just like, okay, if we believe there's like this some sort of reinforcement loop somewhere, it's like, okay, just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah. I guess maybe to phrase it differently is when I hear your story, like I think to myself, that is a powerful woman. And I wonder if you think about yourself that way.
No, not really. I mean, I think that I have some luxury again in like not having the anxiety that I think other people have for me. Because if I did, like I would be a basket case. Because like when I go back and even like replay, like, oh, I said I'm doing all these things, and like people tell me all the time, like, oh, you sound very busy, and you've got so many. And I'm like, I'm not stressed out, so I don't know why you have to be stressed out.
Yeah.
But when I go back and like think about it and hear, it's like, okay, I guess I can get that. For somebody else, it might feel stressful to be like doing lots of things in seemingly less hinged ways. um, but I'm okay with it. And it's and this is my sad truth is again, like, so far the universe hasn't like reprimanded me in any way for it. So I'm trying to get my kids to like be disciplined about their homework and do all their things, right? And then I'm starting to see like good signs of like very familiar procrastination techniques. And I'm like, okay, look, you guys, if we just do a little bit every day, like this doesn't come like hit us on the last day. But then I see myself in the same mode. Like I'm pretty damn good at proposals and all these other things, but like I often wait until like the thoughts start flowing, which is usually a little too late. And sometimes they don't flow, and I'm like, oh, we just got granted an extension though, so it didn't matter. It's okay that I took a nap that time because we got an extension. And so like I don't know, it's like this weird thing of like, you know what, crunch time, I know I deliver, and I'm always like I can always take things to a finish line, but. And sometimes those times when then it's like, just stay out of my way. Let me like do my thing. But generally speaking, again, like I'm like, I think I allow myself to say like, sure, we can figure this out and do it, because again, like I don't see any evidence of like the house burning down, because you're like, and in most cases, if I kind of rewind, right, I'm like, hey, look, all these good things have happened. And I'm like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't do those other things. So like, seems like you should just do those other things and be comfortable with it.
So I'm wondering.
And worst case scenario is like, we're not, you know, if everything like shits to bed and we're all out of here, like I'm not taking anything with me. So.
Taking anything with me.
It's a good reminder.
So I'm wondering to kind of go back to college, and do you still do a lot of your art and photography?
Not as much as I would like, but I always still have hopes to get back into it, right?
It's still a channel. You just don't spend much time on it.
Yes, that's why I love like meeting other people like Jessica King and her like paintings that I love to death, right? I'm like, okay, everybody's got these like closet hidden things, and it's just a matter of carving out the time. And one day, maybe I will say no to a few more things to give myself space to do all this. But you know, I have, even in that, right, I have gone all over the map. I still love like painting and watercolor and stuff the most, but there was a time when I was like really into doing like carvings in wood. So I have a little pyro kit, and I was like learning how to do like engraving and wood burning and stuff. And I still have all that stuff that I'll probably come back to it to like teach the kids, because I wanted to like work with them on whittling a statue. Like, not that they wanted to do it, but I was like, why not? But who knows, right? And I think sometimes I find myself thinking, well, I'm not doing that in a classical sense anymore to the extent that I would like to. And I should, just because it's a good mental place to be. Mm-hmm. But I mean, half the time I feel like I'm doing a lot of like creative output.
Yeah.
With like the proposals and concepts and things I'm doing for like, for the day job, right, to pay the bills, and I think that helps kind of do it. So like I think all of those like just reinforce like the kind of converged skill set a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's such a good reminder too, because I think in our minds we think creativity looks a certain way. Yeah, like you have to have a paintbrush in your hand or something. But like creativity can look all kinds of ways. Like it can look like running your own business. It can look like starting a brewery. It can look like I mean, it can look like just dreaming up different ways of doing things differently, right? Yeah, like those are all creative pursuits.
Yeah, like even like gardening type stuff, I think is like very similar. Like you're envisioning this thing at the end, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of different forms, and I think to me it's a matter of just saying like, look, you don't have to pick and choose what you do and how you do it and when you do it. I did look at some of my paints the other day. And I was like, you know what? I think a couple of those tubes of acrylic have like
hardened. Yeah,
I think I actually have to throw them out. So there is some things that have some finality to it. So it's okay.
Another thing I would really love to bring up, just because I think it shows how you're special in so many different parts of your life. And I want to get this right on how to say it. But so I am an animal lover, and I think that some people, I live in a suburb of Washington and I have 3 dogs, and some people think that's crazy that I have 3 dogs in a small little cottage house in Arlington, Virginia. And then they meet Chitra. and I love so much how much you love animals, and I'd like you to talk about how many animals you have.
Well, it depends on if you're talking just today. Well, okay, so right now we've got the 2 big dogs.
Yeah. Tell us what kind, because that matters.
So a Dogo Argentino and a Cane Corso, Cane Corso. The Cane Corso is the puppy, so he's still like,
But a
does
puppy that's
things.
100
something,
Yeah.
20, maybe, I don't know, growing.
Yes.
It's a growing puppy.
Large.
Human size.
Yes.
And he doesn't pay attention sometimes to the fact that you're like, okay, you need to like just sit and ask for something instead of trying to just get it out of my hand. And then he'll like jump up on a Zoom call and be like in my face, shoving me. And I'm like, okay, sometimes you look really big on a Zoom call.
He looks big in general, I think.
Next to my face. And then the Dogo Argentino, he's about 5 years old, almost 6. So he's starting to like get into a little bit of an old man mode. But they're both, I think, considered big hunting dogs. They're both bully breeds. We've had. I really enjoy the big breeds, and especially the bully breeds, and partly because there's a lot of sentiment against a lot of these breeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're great, amazing dogs, but you definitely have to handle them the right way, and you definitely have to. They're not for everybody because you got to always pay attention to what they're thinking and doing, and like all dogs, there are other dogs or people they might not like, and you got to be aware of that and be able to respond. And I'm always a little more cautious at the dog parks because you got the big dog, you're the one in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'm always conscientious of those things, but they're great. And then it's even funnier because we got the parrots. We've got 3 parrots. We've got this blue-throat macaw and the 2 African grays. And the funniest thing, no lie, is especially with the boys. So out of the birds, we've one, Kiki's the girl, and there's the 2 boys. The boys and our dogs, like they can all hang out on the floor together and they follow each other around and do funny things. So it is definitely like a YouTube channel in the making because they are a hilarious combination. And sometimes they're all like walking around the floor at the same time and trying to get in my space because they're all like very needy for my attention. But they're hilarious. And, no lie, like I could foresee in the future having potentially another dog and another bird or 2. Who knows?
Maybe a goat.
Maybe. So I'm definitely like cool with like all the creatures. And then my sister, I don't know if I told you this. So my sister has a horse and 2 cats. So we're like between all of us, if we combine our energy together, I think we got like a good chunk of the stuff covered. Now, the other piece that you might not be aware of is my fish. So we do have a bunch of fish. And the way we got the fish is an interesting story as well. So my dad passed about 11 years ago, about 11 years ago. And he had these fish, and he passed. He had leukemia when he passed, so it was a long journey. And before he passed, he was like, "No one's gonna take care of the fish, so you gotta take care of the fish. Whenever anything happens to me, you gotta take care of the fish." So after the funeral and everything, then I cleaned up the tanks. I did a bunch of research on YouTube. Learned how to like bag the fish, put them in like these. I couldn't bag them because I had to like drive from Ohio back to Virginia. So I had these big like Home Depot buckets and then these other bags, and figured out how to like move the fish over and then grab the tank. So like my car was filled with like fish and tank, and then we like brought them over. And out of the 6 fish, one of them didn't make it through the drive, but then the other 5 were fine. And we started like researching these fish, and we're like, oh, well, apparently these two fish are not supposed to live in the same tank with these other fish. And so we ended up getting another tank. But then we learned how to like be fish people. So we've got these fish. And that last fish from my dad's actually only passed away last year. So he like ended up living with us for quite some time. But that's how we ended up with the fish.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
Incredible.
I mean, I think it's important because it shows another.
Well, I think
part
it's
of your
also important to
personality.
just be like, look, this is just they're all part of the family. Like the kids always like gripe with us because we're like, they all have jobs related to the pets, related to cleaning and this, and we have complicated like feeding routines and stuff. Like Rommel's got allergies, so he's got these extra like additives in his food and then the Zyrtec and then all these other things. So the kids have to like know how to do all this stuff, and like we could do it too, and we do it, but then we're like, look, this is your job. Like you live in the house just like we do, so we're going to do this and take care of your creature brothers and sisters, and this is how we end up doing. But so it's a fun routine. I don't think I would trade it, and I think even when our older dogs, when the pitties were both still alive, like I take them to like holistic vets, and they ended up doing really well, even on like my like Chinese medicine stuff when they were getting sick. But the kids were like awesome, and they would help me through all the stuff, and we would clean up after the dogs, and we would do the whole like all the routines. And I think, personally, it makes it more rewarding.
Yeah.
But it's like they're just part of the family, and can't imagine any other way.
I know. I agree.
Megan would have a whole farm. If she
Oh no!
could.
So
I know.
in
She's
Chitra's, we've already talked about it. So when I found out she was going to move into a new house and she would have property, I have already asked if I can house my goats at her house.
Oh, so you're gonna have goats?
I'm going to have goats, and I'll pay for them, but they will be housed at Chitra's house.
This is beginning to sound like more of a
I've been trying to tell my sister that she can take a trip from Denver with her horse to visit us, and I can just have a pet donkey here, like ready to be like a companion friend for the horse. She thinks I'm a little crazy.
Well, I think
we're all a little crazy.
Yeah, I love it. This is a perfect way to end, I think.
think so too.
So we, how we normally end. We have changed it up a little bit because you have given yourself a code name already for the previous podcast. So we're going to offer you to keep the same code name or choose a new code name for.
So I've been thinking about this because I was like, I don't know which way I wanted to go with this. So before, when I came up with the code name, I forget. It was a while ago.
I remember it. I was thinking about it while we were doing it. It's fermented Chimera.
But it was, how many years ago was it?
That was like 5 years ago. It was a long time ago.
And so then I was like, okay, look, we're in a new AI world. All kinds of things have happened. So I was like, let me ask my little AI buddy here that I use does stuff for me.
A pretty common approach, honestly.
Right? And I was like, what would I come up with if I was doing it today? And I kind of like it, but like I want to ask you guys to like help me figure out like which way should I go, old one or new one.
Can I ask a question just before we go into this? We're going to keep the audience on the edge of their seat. Do you also think ChatGPT is a man?
I think all the AI is probably a man, only because I find that most of the stuff that's probably trained and where you see a lot of vocal, lengthy commentary is probably coming out of the guys more. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that they really have these personas that are male personas. I think the way we use language, probably you could debate whether the way we use language in general is from like a male perspective versus a female perspective. Like if it was up to me, and if you just said like Chitra runs the way we do language, like I don't know that I would ever use punctuation ever. Like it just all would be one run-on sentence. Maybe that would not be a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, we asked that because because we talk about it, and we've talked about it with a lot of friends and colleagues. When I talk, I say him. I'll say when I talk to him, when I'm referring to ChatGPT. Yeah. But we just find it interesting because we have met a few people who think they refer
put a
to
persona.
her. Yeah. And so that's a great question. I like that.
Okay.
Okay. So
Back to our-
back to
Yes.
code name.
So what it came up with, what I really like, and we went through a couple of, I obviously had a conversation, and it wasn't with chat. It was with, what was I using for this one? I think I used like Perplexity's comment browser because I had it like go through things and say, hey, think about me based on all these other things too. But what we settled on was Maven Gray. Maven being because it's really about this whole like connector concept, right? This connector explorer thinking about all this stuff around the people and ideas. And then the gray was like a play on like the African grays and the fact that they at the end are like super social and loyal and very community centered and, you know, have personality and all these other things. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that because it was kind of a different spin that I wasn't expecting, but I was like, that is kind of a good
I love it.
one.
And I think the old one was for Chitra 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this one is
It's for Chitra now.
definitely for you now.
Yeah. I feel like it was
Maven
good.
Gray.
I love it.
Love it.
What do you
It's a
think?
powerful name.
That's really powerful.
I was like, it could be like a pen name. So when I eventually write that book about who knows what,
yeah.
because why do I have to like figure that out now? Then
Well, and you have so much time. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you might as well put that on your to-do
yeah,
list.
like at
I
some
would
point
love
somewhere,
to read
it might
Chitra's
be.
book without
no punctuation.
It might not. It probably won't be like structured like a typical book. It might
Wow,
be like
really? Yeah.
it might be like a bunch of quotations and drawings.
I love it.
But who knows? I feel like you've given me a book like that before.
I might. I might have. But I could see you doing something like, it's like an interactive book.
Oh yeah.
Like, I just found, and this is
Oh
totally
my god. So
side note.
this is complete side note too. Is like my favorite books when I was growing up were choose your own adventure books.
Okay, so this is total side, like we're taking a crazy turn. But okay, so everybody knows I love gift giving, and at Christmas time I always give like to my family, like my family and my in-laws, I always do Christmas PJs before Christmas even starts, right? Like this is like early December.
Like yours are going out next week.
Yes, like mine will go out in the next 2 weeks, like no joke. And you're gonna see why. So usually I do Christmas PJs and I do an advent calendar, but I don't do the normal advent calendars because we've done them for years and years. So there's no chocolates. They're always like creative advent calendars. So I was Googling like creative advent calendars, and they have advent books. Calendar books. So each day, so I bought 3 of them. Each day they're mysteries, and you read chunks and you have to solve to get to the next chunk.
Oh my god, that's so fabulous.
And so they've done it in a couple ways. One was more of a romance one, and I didn't buy it because I'm giving it to my mother-in-law and my mom, and I didn't know how much they'd want the romance one. But
You could buy that one for me.
okay, will do. So, but I love the way they packaged it because she's even clumped the pages, and you get to break the pages open for that day and read it. But the one that I bought is a mystery, and so they do it by, I don't know if it's by every 4 pages or something. You just read 4 pages. There's a mystery at the end that's going to take you to the next one. So I could, not that you're going to do an advent calendar, but I could see you doing something where it's either like choose your own adventure, or you have to solve this mystery in order to get to the next part of the book.
I like it.
I like that too. I really like that.
And as we end, then I have an idea for you because that's what I tell everybody. But this one, I got an idea for you after this
Okay. Oh my gosh.
because you've got me thinking.
Wow. Okay.
This is awesome. I love it.
Well, Chitra, it's always fun. Thank you for doing this again with us. Thank you for always being down to do anything we ask, which is crazy. You know, you've done the podcast twice. You said yes to the documentary. And personally, I just want to thank you for always being a good friend.
Well, thank you guys. This has been fun. It's always
so
fun.
So fun. Thank you, Chitra.
If it's not fun, I wouldn't do it. So this is
Okay, good.
this is fun.
Well, to everyone else, stay fierce.
Thank you for listening to a special episode of Iron Butterfly Podcast, which ventures inside the world of our documentary, The Power We Hold, Stories from Women Spies. We might be coming to a film festival near you. To follow along on our journey, follow us on YouTube or Instagram, or visit our website at www.ironbutterflymedia.com. And if you like the show, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Stay fierce, and we'll talk next time.